I'm listening to nearly 100 albums from the year 1955, and I just finished listening to Jim Reeves with Jim Reeves Sings, released on Abbott. Debut studio album from Jim Reeves, and his only record that he would put out on Abbott before signing with Capitol Records shortly after this. And this record is a collection of early singles that Reeves had put out in the first half of the 1950s. And if you know anything about Jim Reeves, you know that, of course, he was one of the most famous pop country acts of the late 50s and early 60s. Really, him along with Patsy Cline, two of the defining characters inside the early pop country sound, really defining that. And this material here is clearly quite a bit different. The roots here are still very much in the type of country music that was coming out in the late 40s and early 50s, the kind of honky tonk barroom style stuff that people like Hank Williams were doing around this period of time, for instance. And that is very different from the lusher sorts of things that were going on in his later material, for sure. The singing style that Reeves takes on these tracks is kind of all over the place. Again, it's a collection of singles, so it's not a very cohesive listen, but the singing style he's doing is, again, a lot more forward, not necessarily relying as much on the richer, lower baritone tone that he would become famous for again later on. I think the songs themselves are pretty good for the most part. I would say the track Mexican Joe is probably the highlight, the most famous track from this record, but still several good songs on here, several songs that I think are probably essential for understanding the full Reeves evolution. I don't think it's entirely a record of high points. I don't know that this carries the weight of some of his later stuff, but still a pretty decent listen. So, recommended for fans of 50s country music and people wanting to understand bigger picture what Jim Reeves' career looked like. So, Jim Reeves Sings, if that sounds interesting to you, check it out.